I think people don't understand how tiring it can be. As much as we enjoy it, there is a point where it becomes saturated in your life. That to a point where scrolling is tiring. That's the very, very real truth to it, right? You can't keep telling everybody that you want to get into beauty more and don't create the beauty content. Like, who are you telling? Like, why? For what? You know? You always be nice. Like, no matter where you are, always be nice. But if you are nice, people remember you and they will hire you.
Several influencers mentioned before that TikTok in Singapore is very toxic.
One of the most basic one, right, is like guys saying that you are flat-chested.
Oh, that's so common. I see all
Yeah,
the
like
time. Yeah.
just leave us alone. The problem that I have with influencers as a job is that it's not scalable at all. Let's say we're talking about lifestyle influencers about 300k. Then where do you go from there?
Hi everyone, I'm Gabrielle, your host for We're Not Ordinary. Today we have a very special guest, a lifestyle, travel, as well as beauty influencer, a glimpse of Rachell, also known as Rachell. So today we're really going to take a deep dive into the world of influencers, the rewards, the benefits, as well as the business aspects of building a career in this very exciting industry. So hi Rach, a very warm welcome and thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi everybody!
How are you feeling?
Quite excited. Actually, I like talking about the industry because I feel like people don't really know very much about the industry in general.
Yeah.
So they always have a lot of questions. So I think this will be a very interesting video to do.
This will be the exact video that we answer all the questions that you've been spamming her on Instagram, okay? About the influencer industry.
Yes.
So I believe that you're even more comfortable than I am in front of the camera, right? Because you do these every day.
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah, so you know, this term influencer is something that is very familiar for people like myself who are on social media every day. But for the older generations, I would say maybe they might not be as familiar, right? So if your parents were to describe what you do for a living, how would they do it?
Honestly, I think my parents are not very they're not super old.
Okay.
They're actually quite modern. So to them, they kind of know what I do. So usually when they describe it to my relatives, I've heard it before and they'll just be like, oh yeah, she's doing social media, like influencer. So I think the term influencer nowadays is not as weird as last time. Like people kind of understand. They might not know which platform, what exactly you do, but they kind of know, they kind of understand, okay, yes, she kind of I don't know, social media stuff. So they usually just say, oh yeah, she does social media like influencer. Then usually people are like, oh, okay, you know.
So if we have to level up, right? And we challenge you and say, how would you describe what you do for a living to your grandparents?
Oh my god, actually it's so tough. It's I feel like I'm the billboard. And I'm basically working as an advertising company. I do the writing of the script, the directing, the makeup, the hair, the filming, and then the editing. And I think that's basically, I would describe it as a one-person advertising agency.
You literally do so many things, and we'll be coming back to the question shortly because a lot of people have a misconception of what influencers and their job scope is like.
Yeah.
But before then, I just wanted to ask you, what inspired you to start this journey of being a digital influencer? And if, let's say, I'm interested to be one tomorrow, what should I do to get started on this journey?
How I started, I mean, I graduated, so I was already on Instagram, like we all are, but I really love fashion. I love dressing up, I love makeup and everything. So I actually was already creating some content, taking photos and stuff. After I graduated, I was wondering what to do because apply jobs and then usually you go to the FMCGs like the L'Oreal because you love beauty and stuff like that. So that was actually my original idea. But then I was discussing it with my then boyfriend, now husband, Isaac, and then he was saying how about you just try this maybe 1 to 2 years, even if it doesn't work in the end, right? You just lost that 1 to 2 years, you can just go back to find a job. You're still very young, so you can actually just try it out. So that's how I actually started okay, you know what, I'm just gonna work fully on this, and whether it works out or not, there was a timeline given and thankfully it did because I really enjoy what I do, and that was how it happened. If someone were to want to be an influencer in the future, I would say you need to know what you like to do and like just keep creating, because I know a lot of people are very perfectionist, so they always like, you know, like, this is not good enough, I'm not going to post it, it's not getting enough views, I am completely discouraged. But if you're going to look at the views and the stats and stuff like that and stop doing it, then it's not going to help you lah. I think practice makes perfect when it comes to like content also. Yeah.
So would you say that when it comes to, for example, if I want to become an influencer, I just have to keep posting? Like, it's really just any kind of content. So for example, if I'm eating something, if I want to become a food influencer, do I just keep posting about food?
Yeah, so I think for me, or like, let's say even like whether it's food or beauty, right, it's very easy because you can just like, let's say you have a brand that you really love, it's just about sharing what you love, right? That's what people like, that's what people relate to. It's as easy as like just tagging the brands that you love, because that's how brands also start to find their influencers. Because I mean, you tag them and be like, oh, okay, who is this? Maybe their content is very interesting, and then they start to want to work with you. I mean, that's also how I started like working with brands and stuff, because I always tag the brands that I love. Yeah.
Okay, so does it mean that for starters you have to also be ready to set aside for you, right? You have to set aside some money. You have to be willing to test out, buy those products, test it out yourself, and then post them on social media, and then taking the initiative to tag the brand.
Yeah.
Right?
So I think yes, you definitely have to have some kind of budget. I mean, I'm just being very, very real here. Like, if you don't have budget and to you it's like, I don't even buy these things, like, then what makes you think that like people would want to buy what you don't buy? You know what I mean? So it needs to be something that is already in your lifestyle. Then people will be like, oh, okay, so she spends money on this, therefore I should, right? That's how the influencer marketing actually works. It's not always about like getting free stuff, you know, like we, even ourselves now, we get sponsored stuff, we get PR packages, but we still buy things, like, you know, like
a lot of things
we still buy things, like things that are trending. Like, that's how you stay relevant also. Yeah.
Then on that note, so let's say if I were to just keep posting, and then I also have to make sure that my account is not private. That's number one, right? Secondly, then how do I build my following? Because I would imagine that it's not exactly an easy journey, even for like a typical social media user for myself, as well as my observations of like friends who post regularly. It doesn't guarantee like the 30K influencer following, right?
Yeah, I mean, yes, I agree. So sometimes it's really about luck also. And I think like nowadays with Reels, right, a lot of things are going very viral. And then even with TikTok as well, like, people, like random people can go viral. It's not hard, right? So it's just like, how do you differentiate yourself from other people? Like, maybe you do beauty content, yes, we are talking about the same products, but the way that you talk about a product versus me, it's going to be very different also. And that's what people are looking for. Like, honestly, sometimes, you know, let's say we're talking about Rare Beauty lipstick. It just came out. Do we only just watch one review? We don't, right? We keep scrolling, we keep watching the same, even though it's the same product. So people are always on the lookout for like someone who has like really good character, or, you know, like just interesting ways that they put out content. So it's really all about creativity.
I do have to ask a question. So as a newbie influencer in the past who was just starting out, and you were just actively posting brands by yourself, do your friends make any snarky remarks about you, you know, like for trying to be an influencer when you have not yet become one? And how do you overcome that?
I'm sure there is always this mental challenge where people are like, who are you, you know? But I just really don't care. I mean, to me, the people who make such remarks are not going to be my friends. And if they do, and they're like somehow like my relative or like my childhood friend, then I just keep my distance. Because to me, it's like, you're not doing me any good. So there's no point for me to like talk to you and like let you discourage me. But I'm sure there will always be people who say such things like behind your back or whatsoever. You really just have to ignore and just, okay, whatever, you know, I'm just doing what I love, and that's okay.
And for you, it's a lot about your personal branding as well. So it's about protecting your personal identity and not letting people overstep those boundaries,
yeah,
right?
That's right.
I myself, I do have like a conventional corporate jobs, and we are all hired for like a certain, you know, like job scope and a certain number of hours. But for influencers like yourself, you guys work all year round, even like public holidays, you know, I would imagine, you know, even at night while you're in bed, a idea pops out in your head, you might even have to go forth and write it down.
Yeah.
So, what do you think are some less known facts about influencer job scopes that typically people don't know about?
I think people think that our jobs are very fun, which it is, but I think people don't understand how tiring it can be, right? Because we are always, like, I would say that our mind never stops. So it's always like there is always not enough. Okay, maybe to a normal working person, 9 to 6, you end your work. If your boss asks you to do something after 6 p.m., you're like, what the heck? Like, why are you asking me to do work now, you know? But for us, it's different. For us, it's like, if we don't work, then where's the money going to come from? So I think that's something that people don't really understand. You know, everyone, I think like even the younger generation, they always like, oh, I want to be an influencer. I want to be an influencer. Like, yes, you can be like, sponsored stuff are good, but sponsored stuff's not going to pay your bills. Like, that's the truth. And if like you don't work and you don't create content that actually brands look out for, then you are not gonna be eating grass the entire month, right? So I think that's something also. And yes, there are a lot of influencers that earn a decent amount of money, and I am too, which I'm very thankful for, which is why I'm still in the industry. But there are also people who don't make it, and it's just like about following your dreams lah. You know, no matter what happens, just try. And if it doesn't work out in the end, it's okay. Yeah.
And I think many people describe influencers as being their own entrepreneurs as well. So I would imagine beyond just tirelessly working the content all day, all year round, what else do you have to take care for yourself? Because for example, if I'm at work, there's someone who is doing the admin stuff,
Yes.
there's people taking care of the finance.
Yeah.
But what about all these things for you? Who's doing that for you? And
Oh my gosh, yeah. Okay, so the admin and finance thing is something that I really don't like. Like, that's the part of the job that I really don't like. So sometimes my husband helps me with it, but like there are things where like it's an everyday thing where I have to like send invoices to clients, and then I'll be like, oh my god, I have to send invoices. Like, then they will ask me, okay, can I get the invoice now? And like, maybe in a week, you know, that kind of stuff. So I'm that kind of girl, but you don't have a choice because you're self-employed. Everything you have to do. So for us, we actually like incorporated a company, for example. So like all these tax filings and stuff, you have to do it yourself. There's nobody to do it for you. So I mean, you can hire people lah, you can pay them, but it can be quite costly, especially if you're getting like very professional services.
is there anything else beyond this admin side, finance side that we don't know as everyday people about influencers and the job scope that you have?
I would say, like I also mentioned, like how we are like 1% advertising company. You literally do everything. Like, there was a period where I was doing this video series with like a platform, and we were really doing, I mean, I was alone that time. I was doing like scripting to filming, directing while we are filming, and then acting at the same time, because you literally just put the camera there and you're like, okay, hi everybody, you know, like that's what we do, right? And then all the way to editing, and then sometimes even subtitling. So it's really like a whole process that you have to follow. So it's really like a whole business on its own lah. Thankfully now I do have my own team. So like people to help me, like I have an intern and a content strategist, but the content strategist also helps to like edit and stuff like that. So that's the good part about where I am now. But obviously if you're new and this is like a new career to you, then you probably have to do everything yourself, and you have to kind of figure out how to do it yourself, because not everyone has the skill to do it, right? Yeah, exactly. So like YouTube is your best friend, you know, you just got to like go and Google, okay, how do I do this on Premiere Pro, for example? Yeah.
I see. So, you know, one thing about you and I alike is that we can't run away from clients' KPIs. Or, you know, that people look at us and be like, you know, how do you know whether you're good at what you do? So looking back as influencers, your sponsored post itself, I'm very curious, what really determines how, you know, how clients perceive the success of your post? And as well as, do you use any sort of metrics within the industry to determine that?
Okay, so I think like this is like past like getting the campaign itself, right? So we're talking about like sponsored posts. Most clients will always ask for stats, and the stats are always easily found on Instagram. So the stats will always have like your number of likes, you know, number of views, that kind of stuff, or number of reach. So all these things are what they usually look at. Personally, I would think that clients would be more concerned with the reach. So that's the amount of people who are actually looking at your content. Yeah, so some clients will look at likes, but honestly, or like interactions, right? Like likes and comments and stuff. But honestly, nowadays, like not everyone's commenting, not everyone's like interacting with your post, especially when we talk about likes. So I feel if you are a client and you're watching this, then I think like interactions is just not just it lah. But because you want people to see your ad, but it's like
Right.
on a billboard, you don't expect people to be like, oh my god, you know, then you count the number of points. You
Yes,
don't, right? It's
right.
just the number of people who see it and like it has impacted them somehow. Yeah, so I would think usually they do look at like reach. Yeah.
So more specifically, so if you have a chance to, kind of change the industry a little bit, tell them and tell the clients what exactly they should be looking out for. What do you think it should be?
Okay, so there's something that a lot of clients look out for, which is like engagement rate, which I also talk about, like likes, comments, right? But I don't think these two metrics actually work, because there are a lot of influencers who do it for each other. And you are not influencing the influencers, that's for sure. Like, that is not the whole point of your advertisement, right? You want to influence normal people who really like don't take this as a job and really love your product because they trusted this influencer and want to buy it. Like, that should always be your goal. And if you're going to look at like comments, and then if you really go and scroll the comments, you will see, oh, pretty babe, you know, that kind of thing, like, oh, so nice, so pretty, you're gorgeous, whatever. But then it's like, who are these people? These people are the people that probably the other people that you hire for other campaigns, right? So like, why are you looking at that?
So it's just the influencer supporting influencer,
Yeah.
but everyday people like myself, consumers, are not really seeing this.
Yeah, exactly. So you should always look at like the views that the person is getting, like or even like how do they engage with their audience, you know, like maybe like even follow their IG story for a while. You'll be able to tell like how the person talks to their audience, and therefore like see, hey, okay, like I think she has a relationship with her audience, and that would make effective marketing.
I get it. Yeah. So there's a lot of things that is intangibles, right? That we cannot really quantify using stats in this case. How would you describe your own style in terms of how you actually reach out to your clients as well as your everyday people like myself on your followers?
Okay. I think for me it's oversharing a lot. So I mean, it's always about like talking about a lot of things and not being afraid of talking about it. Obviously, we don't talk about like politics or whatever, because I think that is a bit too much, and personally, I don't really care. So that's just my personality. But if we are talking about like everyday stuff, whether it's like relationship or things that I'm very passionate, or even like dogs, you know, because now that I have my own puppy, right, it's like I love talking about dogs. I love talking about how to care for them and stuff like that. So I love talking about like these things, these topics that interest me, and I will not stop myself from like sharing my honest opinion on these things. Yeah, and I think that's what people like really like
And appreciate you
and
for.
appreciate like IG stories or whatever, or even when they like DM me, you know, I will tell them like very honest opinions about certain things. And then when it comes to like, let's say content, like everyday content, you know, it's about sharing it's just a piece of your life. Yeah, it's not as easy to connect with people when it comes to like reels or like posts, because I mean, you look pretty, like okay, yes, you know. But then it's just more of like the effort that comes from like other things, like whether it's like stories or
your chat
like
box.
just chatting with them. Yeah, so I do, like Gab says, like I do have a chat box from time to time, right, where people can ask me questions, and then that's where like I give very honest answers. Then people kind of like that, I guess.
Yes, correct.
And YouTube also.
Correct.
Yeah.
I absolutely second what you say, because I am a personal friend of Rachell as well. And when I see her chat box, right, she replies exactly as she would in person. It's like all the slang, all the the way that she brings her points across is exactly as she would in person as well.
Yeah.
So I guess this is why people would appreciate and feel the connection in terms of like how genuine you are as well as how sincere you are.
And I guess that's one of the reasons why I decided to do YouTube as well, because I feel like, I mean, YouTube is freaking tiring, man, not gonna lie. It's like long form content, it's not easy, but one of the reasons why I still do it is because I feel like people really get to know you from long form content. Like, I mean, reels, yeah, you're funny, so like I don't feel like you're my friend. I just feel like you're funny, like you're a comedian, you know. But like when it comes to like long form content, you really got to like put your character there,
Right.
And that's when people really buy into like your life.
And I think, Rach, one thing for you especially, right, I would say because you're doing lifestyle and beauty content, so a lot of times you would have to feel confident enough of your followers enough to go barefaced. And I think being able to see how you speak, the way your movements are in front of the camera through the YouTube long form content, it really feels like I know exactly what kind of person you are, and those come through very strongly to the YouTube video.
I think it's not the same when we're talking about short form content. You can never understand a person through like a 1 minute content, and it's very easy to put up a show, let's just put it that way. But when it comes
40
to
minutes.
it's like if you're talking about like long form, right? Well, it's not easy if like you're gonna like vlog your day. Are you gonna be like, oh my god, hi guys, I'm the eat girl? No, you can't, right? So it's just very different.
I mean, like we have been to like Paris before, like the whole Europe trip, and it's really just anytime just take out the camera and you just it's really as natural as it comes, right? So on that note, I also want to ask you, earlier you mentioned about oversharing. So how do you exactly balance between protecting your privacy and then yet wanting to share that part of your life with your followers?
I think it's something that is very tough because honestly, like, this is a random thing, but I've always like really looked up to people, like girls who are very mysterious. Well, I love it. I'm like, oh my god, I want to know more. Tell me more,
stays.
But then for me, right, I'm not that kind of girl. So I'm like ask me anything. I'll tell you. I love that you ask me stuff. That kind of girl. So it's like it's very, very different lah. But I think for me, it's that I draw the line to like maybe just like your address, your bank account number, like how much money you earn, how much money you have. Like to me, like if any friend asks me, I would definitely tell them, because to me all these things are not like my private life and stuff like that. And I'm very open to actually talk about a lot of things. So I don't know how to draw the line sometimes, but obviously we're talking about bank account number, all these, then no lah.
Sometimes she really want to type really ask about bank account number. She's like,
okay, no. This is dangerous, don't lah. But so I feel like the only line that I draw is keeping myself safe. That's about it. But other than that, I'm just like, sure.
But how do you do that? Like, like how is it like a conscious thing that you have to remind yourself of?
I think it's very natural in us really as Asian family people, right? Your mom will be like, don't tell people where you stay, that kind of thing. I mean, that's just very like common lah. So I guess that's kind of where I draw my line. But generally Singapore is very safe, so
no, but the internet is a dangerous place,
dangerous,
right?
I mean, yes lah.
Because I have personally seen people asking you those sort of questions before. Salary questions, people love to know where you stay. And like I feel like you always have to be very ready for some sort of like comeback, like, because at the same time you want to also educate your followers that some things you don't have
don't
to know.
ask. But I think like for Singaporeans especially, I mean, I was talking about just like the average Singaporean, the Singaporean population is quite salty.
And they're very stalkerish.
So like for them, they're just kaypoh lah. So sometimes it's just like, okay, stop, that's enough. You're being a bit too much. So I just tell them like honestly, like, okay, that's my personal like matters, and you don't have to know. That's about it.
How long have you been on social media?
How long? My gosh, I think it's been so long. I think like up till now maybe 7 years.
7 years. That's very long.
I think start of uni. I think even in secondary school I was already using, but I wouldn't say like full online. Just post a bit.
You want to post your recess content?
Oh my god, no! Last time like I would like love to dress up. No, oh my god, it's so funny, right? My parents used to like, cause last time we used to take selfies, right?
Yes.
Then my parents would always. My mom, I remember, she would be like, why are you so vain? Stop taking selfies. Keep taking photos of yourself.
In like GC?
No, in secondary school. So it's like very young lah.
In your uniform?
No, it's like I will go and buy like clothes myself, because like, I really love dressing up, right? So even in secondary school, I will go and see all the blog shops. That last time was like a thing, right? Like Young Hungry Free, all these, like even until now. So I always see like all these shops lah, and always like try to buy their clothes, even if it means like they always have those resellers like Carousel, but like last time I don't know what it was last time, but so I would just buy from those people and like cheaper. So I'll just wear.
So this is your way of integrating like fashion into your life since secondary school, and also the fact, going back to the very first point at the start of this podcast, that we say that you need to have some form of money, and we can always consider buying second-hand clothes to create content, right? So since you've been doing social media for 7 years, and I would say more recently in the past 3 years, you've been doing it more commercially. So what is one thing that you consistently and strongly advocate for on your social media platform?
Oh, I think for me it has always been being real, like being really like yourself on social media, because I mean, to me, I know there are a lot of influencers that can be very dreamy, which is their USP also lah, which works also, you know, like people just look at them like, oh my god, those are goals, which I also do that. But for me, it's like, I have always wanted to be that kind of girl, but I'm just not. Like,
you choose to go for the genuine HDB alien vibes.
Hey, hello, excuse me. No lah, but I mean, like, I'm still like, I love class, but also not to a point where I need to speak proper English and, you know, lead my life a certain way, or like always, I don't know, go and eat expensive stuff. That kind of stuff is just, if it's not me, then it's okay. But I mean, if it's me, then okay lah, I take it. I love TWG, you know, that kind of thing. Like, I love it. Yeah, but if it's not me, then I don't want to show it. And I try to let my followers know when I have a bad day, just because, not because I want pity from them, but also because I feel that it's more real also, right?
Correct.
I don't want it to be like, oh, everything's good. But, I mean, there are some people who always ask me like, why are you always so happy? Which I mostly am, but there are definitely still off days lah. So I always try to share that part as well. I mean, even like YouTube, like, you know, the chit chat stuff, I feel it's important to be able to share that part of your life. Not just the part that's funny, the part that's fun, the part that's like, you know, pretty,
And would you say that that is kind of like your role as an influencer, trying to educate your followers as well? Which is that not all influencers have to be glamorous, beautiful, happy 100% of the time. It is okay to show, you know, your less okay moments, including the video which you just posted recently about burnout as well.
Yes, I think it's good to always share these things because people can relate to you better. I wouldn't say like I'm educating them in any way lah, but for me it's just, if there's one thing about social media that I want more of, it's always like realness. Like, you don't want it to always be a skit or whatever. Like, even with our skits, let's say we're talking about like ads, right, or like scripts that we write, we always make sure that it's me. So no matter what I do or like what I say, even in the ads, it has to always be like me lah.
I know, even I saw your recent, I think it's Love and Co.
Love and Co.
Is it Love and Co? And then the one where you are nagging Isaac. It's so real.
It's
this
real.
is exactly what they do.
It's like our everyday life is just like that. So we want to share that part of like our life, but you know, in a more funny manner lah.
For sure, because people love funny, especially in Singapore.
And very real, and it's just very different because every couple is very different, right? Like, so there's that quote that, you know, it might not apply to every couple, but they'll be like, oh, like, you know, that's different.
So you are on Instagram, you are on YouTube. Are you on any other platforms? TikTok, right? TikTok.
And then I was doing Lemonade for a while, but I kind of stopped because ever since the burnout thing, I'm just like, oh my god, it's too many platforms that I can't keep up.
It's a lot,
and the thing is, I do have a team helping me. Even for Lemonade, I actually got someone, like one of my ex-interns, to help me manage it. But I still felt that was too much.
How frequently were you posting then?
Like, I think it was 3 posts per week. But even
across all the
platforms. No. So so Lemonade at that point in time was 3 times per week. But even if she was creating the content, I had to vet it. And vetting it is not like just read and check. You know, you're like, is this right? Is this accurate? You know, that kind of thing. So because it has to be me, right? And then for YouTube, I used to do every week. Weekly videos, which I have reduced to bi-weekly, so 2 times a week. My god, weekly was like, mad. I was like, I'm not editing. Oh yes, and I do have like editors helping me with my YouTube, but even then it's just like, oh my god, the fact that I have to like watch through the long form videos myself also, and I tell them, hey, this is wrong, please change this, that kind of thing. Well, it takes a lot of effort. And then For Instagram and TikTok, I try to do it every day. Okay, especially Instagram, I try to do it every day. TikTok, whenever I feel like posting lah. But TikTok is quite chill because you can like post anything, it's okay, like
It's
people
so
are fine.
interesting. Like
Yeah.
the way y'all do TikTok is very much you and Isaac when you see something funny.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
just
yeah.
like
Yeah,
pick up
just-
the phone, just start.
Just record right now!
No, you have to tell them about how like TikTok works in a very strange way, right? The less effort you put,
Yeah.
the more successful it is.
Yes, I mean like this is something that I think as creators, right, especially for people who has already started on Instagram, oh my god, TikTok is just like, what the heck is happening? Like, why? You know, like the things that you're just like, ooh, okay, record, and then they go viral. But I mean, I get it lah. I like to watch those
Yeah.
very easy to film kind of thing also, but it's just, oh man, it's so different. Like, I mean, I feel like Instagram is going towards that direction as well.
Yes, a lot of reels.
Yeah, so like even when you're talking about like very aesthetic reels, if you don't have a point where it's relatable, like maybe you don't have like a POV, you know, like a girl blah blah blah, or it's just nice videos, most of the time it doesn't get good stats. Yeah, so things are changing lah in the social media
So
world.
I mean, like the algorithms change and people's preference and behavior on these social media platforms are very different as well. So how do you keep up with them?
I think it's really hard. Like even when we talk about TikTok, right? I was like, oh, TikTok, what the heck? You know, like this is for the 小妹妹, you know, that time I was
it's like the old, I forgot what is it called. Like there was this old like dance video, dance app.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
something I remember.
Oh,
I can't remember.
okay, no,
I might be
I only
wrong.
know like TikTok. Okay, TikTok
Yeah.
used to do a lot of dances,
Yeah.
which was like, sister cannot dance.
You have done that before.
Yeah, I've done it before and it's shit. Okay, it's like shit content. We do not ever want to see. Every time I see it, I'm like, oh my god, what kind of dance is this? So embarrassing.
Yeah.
But I'm thankful that we have already kind of moved past like the dancing era, but now it's just more of like the
For the
casual, like always like what is funny,
Yeah.
you know, like comedy content, that kind of stuff. How do I keep up? I just have to keep scrolling. But okay, it's honest, to be very honest, because it has become like a job to me, sometimes I really don't like scrolling, so I leave the scrolling to like my intern and my content strategies, because I feel like I'm very tired sometimes. Like, you know, you after scrolling, you're like, oh my god, it doesn't even help me stay sane, you know, at that point in time. Because I know a lot of people just scroll because it's fun, to them it's like break time, but to us it's like, what's the next idea
You're
I have to do?
generating, right?
Yeah, so it's different.
But if it's so tiring for you, then how do clients keep up with what they should look out for in terms of selecting content creators?
To be honest, I would say most clients don't, which is why they hire social media agencies to do it for them. And then for social media agencies, usually they have like younger people because they hire interns, or like just younger people to help them with like selecting influencers and stuff. I mean, even last time when I was doing like internship in L'Oreal, right, they would get the interns to find like influencers. You would think that it's like some big ass
I know.
thing, you know, like what a budget from
Yeah.
this like marketing manager, but usually it's just the interns.
Like
They just
interns,
ask, yeah, this one,
Shit.
this influencer good, you know, that kind.
Yes.
So it's just really like you don't even have to think like, oh, I mean, yes, obviously produce good content, but it doesn't always have to be like a very big person selecting
It's not some
you.
research
Yeah,
going on.
it's not.
Yes.
It's just sometimes it's just convenience lah. And if you are nice to people in the industry, always be nice. Like no matter where you are, always be nice. But if you are nice, people remember you and they will hire you lah.
put you on. And
Yeah.
then if you create good content during this specific event,
Yeah.
people see them, people acknowledge your efforts, that's when they will be very keen to have you
Yeah.
on board their PR list, right?
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they will also be very curious what kind of content you will produce for them as well.
I mean, I would say also like if there is a certain, let's say, industry that you want to get into more, like for example, maybe beauty more. You can't say like, you can't keep telling everybody that you want to get into beauty more and don't create the beauty content. Like, who are you telling? Like, why? For what? You know? It's not going to help you. It's like always, clients see something that they like. They want to do something that you have done possibly, but you obviously give them even better or even something different, right? But they just see all these like sample content. It's your portfolio lah, basically, right? Yeah, like even businesses or you apply for a job, it's always about your portfolio and how do you add to that.
So it's about choosing specifically what you want to do and then really drill down on it as well.
Yeah, that's right.
So going back to the social media platforms, I'm actually quite an active social media user, and I've seen several influencers mention before that TikTok in Singapore is very toxic. What is your personal experience, and does it really differ social media to social media?
I think there is definitely a difference in social media. I would say social media platform norms, or I don't know how to put it, but like basically the world lah. It's just very different. I think for TikTok because you can create an anonymous account. For Instagram, it's not so easy because they have to link it to like a specific email, and then you have to put in like a lot of details and stuff. People don't really bother. Right. So because of that, then there's a lot less trolls. Still have, but much less. TikTok, on the other hand, anyone and everyone is on it. They are very, very mean. Like, I think if you really go and Google, there are so many TikTok stars or like social media influencers on TikTok especially who commit suicide because of the hate that they get on TikTok. And TikTok it's like they go mad, like rampant, and they just like destroy you. So if you can't close your eyes to that, TikTok is really not the platform for you. Yeah, like I think I have friends who are like famous, like more famous on TikTok than on Instagram, and you can see that their way of looking at TikTok or like comments, right, is like they don't care. And it's like a super good attitude to have. Like, I don't know how they do it, but they do it very well. It's just don't give a shit, and that's the way that you have to do it.
But that should be the generic kind of attitude that you have across trolls on social media.
I think TikTok, you have to be stronger. Like, for sure.
If you're not ready.
If you're not ready, then don't ever pray that your content goes viral, because anything that goes viral is because there's some kind of hate inside, or like, that kind of thing. Unless you're doing beauty, and then, the chances of you going viral is very low lah. Yeah, so unless you hate on the product, then you're like, this product, oh my god, it sucks. And people be like, I
have seen. Like, even
they love it.
SK2
yeah.
People hate on those products.
And it goes viral.
Yeah.
And then people will be like, what you say there, that kind of thing. But I mean, these kind of things is just very hard to like avoid lah. You cannot control what people say about you. You can only control how you react to it. I mean, one of the most basic one, right, is like guys saying that you are flat-chested.
Oh, that's so common. I see all
the time. Yeah. Just leave us alone. I don't know what they get from it. It's like and then recently, because I wore this like really tight-fitting dress, and then the guy was like, you have a stomach. I'm like, thanks for reminding me I'm human. Then he was like, that's such a bad response. Why are you getting pity? I'm like, pity? I'm like, sorry, I just think that I look damn good. Like, and yes, I'm a human. What do you want from me?
Wait, do you expect her to not have a stomach?
You can't win.
And do people support this kind of things? Like, do you see other trolls liking these
They do. I mean, like, I would say like those people, especially like the flat chest comments, right? Oh my god, all these guys, right? They're irritating lah. So they'll just support each other.
I tell you, my personal opinion of guys who say that other women are flat-chested, right? Yeah. I always get them to think and wonder. So how would you feel if other people were to say that of your daughter?
Yeah.
Like, why?
But then the thing about social media and like TikTok, right, is that sometimes they just disappear after they comment, number one. Or number two, if they come back again, they come back even fiercer. So it's just like what the heck, what did I even do? Like,
so you got long-term customers, you got returning customers.
Yeah, they do like come back again. Then I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna block you then, because like you're not adding to my life, so I don't need you to follow me. Yeah, so it's just annoying. It's really annoying.
And I believe that it's not suddenly that you became okay with all these hate comments, right? So how was it like at the beginning for you, and how do you actually manage to get over it?
Since young, I was acting on TV already, so I already had people literally bullying me in school because I mean, so my mom would always tell me like, you are always under a microscope because you started your childhood acting. So yes, they might give you a lot of attention. I mean, you have a lot of attention, so you have no choice but to deal with it lah. But I think like my parents really helped me with it. I mean, especially my mom, because she'll always like reassure me like, yeah, they're just jealous, it's okay, don't care about them. So it really helps like strengthen my mentality. I think really having the confidence is very, very important when you're doing social media. Yeah, because if you don't have, it's very easy for someone to ruin your day. And I mean, no matter how confident or strong I am, right, you still have that some days where you let people like
You start
influence
doubting
you.
yourself.
Yeah, I'm not very affected by people saying that I'm ugly or whatever because I'm like, okay, sure, girl.
Yeah. Like, where is it coming from?
Yeah, but if you like usually if someone insults my character, then that's when I'm like,
Very
why
defensive.
did I really do something like that? Like, oh my god, is it my fault? Like, why am I not a nice person? That kind of thing, right? So that, I mean, yes, it's good to reflect, but also sometimes they are also a bit like unreasonable lah. So you just got to like strengthen your mindset and be like, okay.
You have to, no, that's why you walk out, right? Because
Yeah,
you have to
like,
smash the hate out.
Yeah,
Would
correct.
you
correct.
say that it's only the local TikTok scene that is so toxic? I think it really needs to be a
think
local thing.
Okay, like I said, right, Singaporeans are very salty. They are very
It's the weather.
unhappy. Yeah, man. I mean,
It's the weather.
they're grumpy, man. No lah, but I also think that they are just very like they're very used to comparing like with people and like your peers, and the more that they see that you are relatable, the more they be like, why can't I be like her? And then it becomes like a jealousy thing, which nobody would ever say there's a jealousy thing, but like if you really see their actions, you're like, okay, yeah, like chill lah, calm down, you know. But I would say, because okay, when you go overseas, your TikTok audience becomes like the overseas audience, so it will not be like Singapore. So you can actually tell that there's like a difference in the comments lah. And most of the time, Singaporeans are really
Unforgiving.
salty. Yeah, they are very salty. Like really, it is a thing. Yeah, and I think because of the way that we live, like everyone is almost the same. Like, I mean, not that there is still like a gap, but like everyone is almost like doing well. That everyone is just competitive, and the competitiveness shows in the attitude that they have towards like people doing well on social media, or like people earning money doing what they like. Yeah.
I think also this goes back to a point where being an influencer is not really like a conventional job, which is why people start to form their own opinion of it and start
Yeah.
to challenge them.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, okay, like thankfully my parents are fine, right? But I think because my parents are so like they really defend us, but so my relatives don't really have the chance to say much. But if we are talking about like my friends, I've heard like their relatives say like, oh, why don't you find a proper job? That kind of stuff, right? So it's just very like hurtful also lah. You know, you wouldn't know how to like react to that, especially if it's like your grandmother or whatever. You know, they're telling you, hey, go and get a proper job. You're like, okay, like what do I say to her? So it's just like very hard also to like kind of manage that. Yeah.
How would you react to someone if they were to say that being an influencer is not a real job?
I earn the money, so what's
like,
not a real job?
Actually, that's a very good point, right?
Yeah.
If you earn the money, then what
Yeah.
about it does not make it
Like-
a real job?
Like if you, I mean, I always ask people this, like, why do you go to work for? I mean, obviously you
Yes, for money.
for money, what? Then
Yeah.
if I'm earning money other ways, then
Why is it
what-
not a real job?
Yeah, why is it not a real job? And I mean, I don't even bother explaining to them what I do on a daily basis, but it's like that's the simplest to me. Like, yes, you might not think that I'm doing much, but I'm doing a lot. Number one. Number two is I'm earning money, so
That's a job.
yes, that's a job. Full stop. Yeah.
So how do you see your role as an influencer really changing and evolving in the near future? And do you have any goals that you would have for your future career as an influencer?
The problem that I have with influencers as a job is that it's not scalable at all. Because you hit a certain extent, I mean, especially in Singapore, right, you hit like that certain number, maybe 100k, 200, 300k even. Like, I mean, I think the top now is about, let's say we're talking about lifestyle influencers, about 300k. Then where do you go from there? And the job itself demands you to be 100% all the time. So if you're older and have less energy, no matter how many people you hire, let's say we're talking about like, for example, like James Charles, right? Have a whole team. He's still the one in front of the camera, what? So like, can you really outsource these things?
The key person
Yeah,
is
you-
very important.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
why we are paid so much is because we are the people in front of the camera and there's no one that can replace us. But precisely because we are irreplaceable, that is a job that's very hard to do, like continue to do. And it's scary, right? Because like nowadays there's so many influencers, so many younger people, like, you know, coming in. Oh, they're prettier, they're better at talking, you know, there's always new people coming in. So for me, personally, my personal goal is always to be a businesswoman. So it's not to just do social media, but I mean, with whatever I've earned and the capital that I have accumulated, is how do I make more with that? Something that's scalable so that I don't have to always be at my 100%. Yeah, because I think even when we go for events and all, people will expect you to be at 100% lah. You're a bit
Because
tired.
that's your job, right?
Yeah.
Like to always.
I mean, I think
show
not
up.
only that, it's like they think of you as a certain, like maybe if on social media, obviously you're not gonna pick up your phone when you're like crying, right? So you're like, oh hi everybody, you know, this is a good day, blah blah blah. And then you go to the event, you're like, oh my god, I'm so tired, right? And then the next day you hear like people be like, oh, I heard that she's not very nice, or she just didn't seem very friendly, that kind of thing. You know, you hear these things, right? And it really happens. So then how do you like? If you're tired, like, but nobody's going to forgive you for it. Yeah. So
And you still have to show up as your 100%.
Yeah.
And because you want to avoid people saying these things about you, you have to overcompensate your
Yeah,
energy
exactly.
and how you are. And it's as though you can't afford to fall sick as well.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. I mean, yeah, even talking about falling sick, it's like, I mean, people are very nice in a way. Like, the PR people are very nice. They will always say, like, okay, it's fine, don't worry, that kind of thing. Yes, you don't go and all, but then the job can only be done by you. Even if your entire team comes and set up the camera for you, you know, you are in front of the camera, you still have to be the one there, what? Like, there's nobody else who can do the job for you.
And I think on that note about building a business, wanting to pursue that path, I think that's very smart because you have the leverage now. You've created this pool of people who trust you and really buy into what you're selling, right? So the next step to build your own brand, as with all, you know, our rare beauties and our gourmets, you know, we have Hailey Beaver and her skincare brand. So are you thinking of doing something like that as well?
I mean, that is definitely in the works. If you actually made it to like this part of the podcast, then hey, you got news. But yeah, that's definitely in the works. Like, we are definitely working on creating businesses or like products that we love, and we would love to share and sell you guys as well. So that's definitely coming, but y'all can look out for it, I guess. Yeah, so that's something that I'm very excited about, because I think for me it's always been like, I want my social media to be organic as possible, things that I really love, and not rely on it to earn money. And the only way I can do that is if I have my own businesses. And yeah, so we are working towards that right now. Yeah.
So if we move on to talk about the future, we know that there are a lot of augmented and very virtual influencers these days. Have you come across one yourself?
Actually no leh.
Haven't, right? Okay,
No.
I would say it's more happening outside of Singapore at the current moment. And just a fun fact for you, the virtual influencer who has the top virtual influencer has up to 6 million influencers.
Oh,
6 million followers on
I think I've
social
seen it
media.
on like news. It's like a US kind, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah, so precisely, all this virtual and augmented reality, these people don't even exist. They don't even have a life.
Yeah.
So all these things are going to start penetrating the market as well. So as a digital influencer who is going to come across such challenges in the future, what is your personal take on it?
For me, I don't think it's any worry, because I think people still want a human to relate to, talk to. I don't know in what way like these augmented like influencers would actually, how they would work, because their skin is not real.
Actually, they look very real.
No, I mean, they look very real, they look really good. Maybe fashion will work for them, but if you're talking about skincare, even makeup,
skincare people won't trust.
yeah, for sure. And then like, even if we talk about like makeup, right, like if you, yes, maybe your skin like is almost as good as real and stuff like that, but if you're making the products look good, and then you are also supposedly fake, right? Then how are we going to know how it will look on us? And like, I don't know, I don't think that is very like relatable. So it's gonna be very hard. Like, okay, even if we are saying, oh, like we're going to give the person or whatever personality a flawed skin, like what, oily skin, like also induced, like what? I don't understand how it's going.
People love to see the pores and the textured skin.
It's just different. So it's like, if you're gonna be talking to a robot, then you can do that anytime, you know, like ChatGPT, like go ahead. But I always feel that there's always like power in human touch lah. Yeah, so it's gonna be very different, I think.
So you think that it is not going to disrupt the digital marketing in any way?
No.
As
Unless
for-
you are doing fashion maybe. Then yeah.
And then for you, really my last question to summarize this podcast, how would you describe your relationship with social media in 3 words?
Okay, 3 words, love-hate relationship.
Love-hate relationship.
Because I absolutely love what I do, but there are definitely times where it's tiring. I mean, especially because of the pressure that we put on ourselves to do better, to create more, to create better. So, as much as we enjoy it, there is a point where it becomes saturated in your life. That to a point where scrolling is tiring. That's the very, very real truth to it, right? So yes, I would say it's a love-hate relationship at this point in time. Not that I don't love my job, not that I don't love creating content. Like when I create something good, I'm still very, very, very proud of it and very excited to share it. But there are really definitely days where I'm just like, oh my god, I do not even wanna touch my phone.
No energy really. I was thinking, right, influencers would have very strong like finger muscles because they're always
Yeah, we're always on our phones, always scrolling. Yeah, but I think it takes much more mental strength than people think. Not because of the traditional way of like, oh, you know, you get hate, so you need to deal with it. But it's not just that. It's like really like every day, how can you do better? And then if you see like your friends doing better, I'm sure you'll compare what. Then it's just gonna be like a whole cycle and like, yeah, it's all your hate.
it takes a lot of I would say tenacity as well as really being able to stand firm with your own values as well.
Exactly.
Because it's not just doing what other people are doing as well, right? It's, I have to keep to myself, but I also have to make sure that I'm able to post constantly. There's all this added pressure as well. And obviously it doesn't help that our trolls in Singapore are really working overtime.
Yeah. They're always there. I don't understand why they are so free.
And they will never be gone. You know, if things be gone to get rid of them, right?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Really, we really need them to
I don't
go.
think it's gonna ever happen. It's only going to the thing is it's only going to increase as you grow, right? Because I mean the more
exposure,
you grow,
people
then
start to
people
learn
see
about you
yeah.
and be like, one more
Always
person
will
to
have
bully.
one, yeah.
We have come to the end of another episode of We're Not Ordinary. Thank you, Rach, for giving us a glimpse into the rapidly evolving industry of influencers. So next time you want to think of putting an awful comment on someone's picture, just think twice, okay? Like don't even do it because there is someone behind those screens that is worthy of being valued and respected. And with that, thank you so much and stay tuned to the next episode.
Bye. We are not ordinary, we are a glimpse of rage.